All right. All right.
We are live.
That was a fast 30 seconds.
Right.
Could be like that when you out of space.
See,
Oh,
All right. So I'm so glad we're back here. And before we get too far, we're gonna always do what we do, which is have a little start or something to open us up into our conversation. But I'm excited to talk and share with my friends here, my co-host, and I'm excited for that. So I'm gonna pass the virtual talking stick, over to Rev Anthony Bear, Anthony Farmer. He's got 1,000. He's a man of many names.
many names and many hats.
To open the door for us, open us up. Thank you.
Ashe. I was guided to offer this prayer. It's uh, many indigenous cultures, they open their sacred space with a prayer or invocation or an opening to the seven directions because they recognize the seven directions. And it's a call to align ourselves, in the seven directions, such that from that point forward, everything we do is in this sacred space. So here is a prayer that I will offer into this space. I will try to offer into the space. Mother, Father, God, Great Spirit, Universal Consciousness, Creator, presence of divine love and light all around us and within us. From the East House of Light, may wisdom dawn in us, so we may see all things in clarity. From the North House of Night, may wisdom ripen in us, so we may know all from within. From the West House of Transformation, may wisdom be transformed into right action, so we may do what must be done. From the South House of the Eternal Sun, may right action reap the harvest, so we may enjoy the fruits of planetary being. From the above house of heaven, where the star people and the ancestors gather, may their blessings come to us now. From below house of earth, may the heartbeat of her crystal core bless us with harmonies to end all war, internal and external. And from the galactic center source, or the center galactic source, which is everywhere at once, may everything be known as the light of mutual love. Oyam Honam Ku, Ivam Maya E Maho. Amen, Ashe, Aho.
I felt
Ashe, thank you.
Hey, yes, yes. I felt that deeply. My goodness. And so I really did. And it's kind of leading me into um the conversation. Thank you for setting the container and getting into the conversation. I'd love to just open us up with something to share and see what comes up from everyone. So as we're wont to do, we use the tools we have. And so I pulled a card today. And this card is an image of someone called Mahavata Babaji. And I'm not certain if I said their name correctly, but they represent the gateway of spiritual awakenings. And as we go into the energy of spiritual awakenings, they talk about interconnectedness and understanding of the inner workings. So this is the card. You can see, bring it up there a little closer. And that's the beautiful face. And I just want, taking that in. Um, spiritual awakenings, man. What comes up when I say that to you? And I'll just kind of let you. We'll just share out what comes up when you hear that.
I got something for that. um, so, and we talked a little bit about this earlier. So, I was this morning. I woke up feeling very much like I was like, I feel so good. And it's not that I felt terrible the day before or anything like that, but the energy of the day, I felt balanced emotionally. I felt balanced physically. I felt balanced mentally, all of that, you know. And I was like, well, I don't know what happened, but it's like something was lifted from last night, you know. And I think something happened last night. I don't remember now, but meaning in the astrological world. And so I thought I was what I came to was, you know, like I've talked about being spiritually possessed before, right? I've watched since I was a child, whether from the Pentecostal church, then to the African traditional systems, then just from sitting talking to people, sometimes the spirit just comes through. And I remember when I was younger, I in the church, in the Pentecostal church, I told the spirit, look, do not possess me. Just tell me directly and I will just do what, you know, we'll talk it out and then I'll do it. So I believe the spirit heard me. And what I realized maybe like 10 years ago is that what happens for me is the spirit comes and sits with me for months at a time. And I'll wake up like, something is different, you know? So I think that's what happened last night. And so the awakening to me was like, you know, if I'm not feeling like myself, I really need to take a minute and go, hey, who's here? What's happening? You know, what's the goal here? You know, and also I might be reconsidering this whole 3-month visitation thing. But I felt like, because for a minute I was like, why do I go off schedule? I have a schedule and there'll be periods where I'll just chuck it. And I've always thought I was just bored, like with my rituals, right? Look, see, I was like, oh, I must be bored because I'm trying to remix something else. And then I'll come back to my way of functioning. And so the awakening today for me was literally because one of my things now is the idea that I command my world. And I hated the word command so much because I didn't know my affiliate or association with the word command almost seemed to almost have to do with somebody else. Like, I don't want to command anyone. I want to collaborate, right? That's always been my thing. I want to collaborate. But I have found major use in that word when I think about the fact that this is literally my life. So who else would command it but me? So that's what I would like to share related to your question. And thank you for asking.
I love it. Go ahead, Bob.
So, yes, being working in unison with spirit, which I never saw growing up. Never saw it. So when it began to happen through me, it shocked me and it scared me because I immediately went to something not godly, something not holy, something not spiritually, something not good was in operation. Um, and when it would happen, it would and after it would happen, I was the only thing I could do was cry. And it was like, I don't know what's going on. And there was no one around to really tell me what was going on. They just assumed I knew. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Um, fast forward till 2 weeks ago when I'm leading a class, and my relationship now is I know when they're coming. They seem to knock on the door, um, but the door is my body, and they don't necessarily move in without letting me know we're coming in. Um, but they do. And we have that experience. Uh, what's significant about it now is after that happened, and then I go through the experience where they leave in the whole bit, and I'm hungry and feel like I got to eat for two and or three or whoever else is there. Um, by that time they're gone, but I use that excuse to eat because I like to eat. I've noticed that a couple of days ago I woke up and I started singing songs that reminded me of tribal songs. I would sit down and just started singing a song, and I'd catch myself and go, "What?" Um, and my next question to myself is, "Okay, who's there? Because this ain't me." So somebody lingered on, and is I don't know. I guess they happened to look at Facebook with me, but we were singing tribal songs, and then it died down, and then later on that day, I just started singing a song again, tribal songs. I'm like, part of me is not all here. Part of me is somewhere else experiencing that realm at the same time. Um, wasn't frightened, wasn't startled, but just curious. Um, and so I woke up 2 days ago feeling refreshed and renewed. And then I remembered I received a Reiki attunement in the dream world, and the woman who gave me the attunement, uh, I didn't anyway because she might be watching. Anyway, I reached out and said thank you to her for that. Um, and then this morning yesterday I had a physical experience and it just wore me out. So I went to bed at 9 o'clock last night and woke up at I think I finally woke up at 7:30 this morning. And I was like, "Oh, something happened then. Something happened at night. I can't remember all of it, but I was in a dream and then I looked and I was gone." Um, so spiritual awake. What is a spiritual awakening? Um, where it used to be, I would have an experience and then it'd be months, maybe 4, 5, 6 months before something else happened. It has gotten to the point now that I probably have one every day of some level. There's something happening every day, a new perspective, a new idea, a new thought, and not just an idle thought, but something that moves me. Um, so yeah, and then you get to a point on your spiritual journey where you recognize everything is spiritual, everything has a meaning, everything is connected to something, and then you look at them, you don't look at them as happenstance anymore. It's like there's a meaning to that. I may not know, but I know that's connected to something, and I'll just hold it, sacredly. And in due time, it will reveal its purpose, its connection. And I find that sometimes they connected to things that happened 3 years ago or 2 months ago, and so, people say your spiritual journey is some people think life is linear and they say, no, it's more of a spiral. And I say, it is back and forth, up and down, in and out, all in the same day. I don't have anything. It's not, it's peaceful in its chaos. I learned to find the peace in the chaos, but spiritual awakenings, yeah, daily feels like at times.
Before you go, I'm I'm listening. I'm being led to offer this song that it's a when he said a native song. The song came in my head, and I was like, oh, I got to see what it means. And I'm pushing myself a little bit to say it, but I'm gonna go ahead and sing it. Okay, it goes. Eho mai kai ke mai na mai e. Ina mea una no ea una mele. Eho mai, eho mai, eho mai, eho mai kai ke mai na mai e. Ina mea una no ea una mele. Eho mai, eho mai, eho mai. And it just means grant it to us, grant us wisdom from above, grant us power so that our chants will give us all that we're calling for. I really love that one. But when you said that, it came to me. So thank you.
Thank you. It felt cradling. For that's how I received it. It was very cradling. Not rocking a baby per se, but just cradling. Thank you.
Nate, would you like to go or would you like me to go first? Just checking in. Love giving space for breath. So I'll go ahead and go. For me, spiritual awakenings, the word that on the card that is really talking to me is the word interconnectedness. And when I think about spiritual awakenings and how my life currently is, I mean, it can be moment to moment, breath to breath, a new experience with God, creator, source, myself, my ancestors, whatever, the cats. It can be a constant kind of awakening to this new moment. Um, and, the spiritual awakening, when I think about this energy around interconnectedness, it's this it's really this journey with trust, right? That's what I'm led to lean into deeply right now. The trust to say it is what it is that it is, and having had those younger experiences of the thing knocking at the door, knocking on the window, like what is whistling coming from this space? What is this experiences that led me to here to be now where it's like that thing can happen it is always happening, and there may be markers, like, so I had my dream work that the other day. I'm like, what is this? And I'm interpreting. I'm interpreting. It's being revealed to me how this one dream keeps spinning off new things to understand about the experience of that initiation, that awakening into this divine law. And so for me, spiritual awakenings, it's like it can take me all the way back to my childhood when I was in my mama's backyard spinning around in the grass saying, I'm here to change the world. I didn't know what that meant. I was just a little girl spinning around in the outside in the field in the backyard. And I remember then saying, no, my kids are going to change the world. Spinning. Yeah. I find myself visiting her often, in these moments of journeying. Um, the spiritual awakening of being today humbled yet again at the grace that is always being afforded to me if I choose to see it that way. Can I see through the eyes of spirit and say, maybe that really was better than what it could have been, I think I said to my friend, like, can I catch a break? And I don't even want to say it no more, because I realize that I'm always catching breaks. That is an awakening to relationship with spirit and its interconnectedness of how much of it is me. How much is this me and the work of trust and self-acceptance? I'm going to say it out loud so y'all can hear it again. I'm back in the season of this phrase called acceptance without exception. Acceptance without exception. It all serves. It all serves. And I was saying earlier how I had an experience of locking myself out, like of something dealing with transitions of things being taken, the keys and the vehicle, all this stuff moving. And I found myself saying, I bow. May I bow to these troubles and say thank you. May I say, may I bow and say thank you? Because are they troubles? Are they troubles? How am I looking at them? Is this the lesson? Is this the blessing? Is this the opportunity? Not always easy. I ain't gonna, that would be my people would say that's a laugh in the pits of hell. But I will definitely say the truth of it is like in the dance, the back and forth of my humanity with my divine nature, I'm just glad that in my spiritual awakenings, I somehow or another have met these other souls who are walking on the edge with me. These other souls who are out here walking or waking up and being like, hey, how'd I get out here? Like, hey, nice to see you. Like you just, maybe you took the chute and it popped you out and now you're on the edge. Or maybe, you rained down in a raindrop and then you bloomed as a flower. And now you're like, well, how am I here out here? Welcome. Or down here or up there. Like I remember, Baba just said, all these different directions, they're all parts of ourselves. So it's interconnectedness, and it can feel real complex, and then it can be real simple. That may I row my boat easily down the stream, and if I can't, may I laugh myself to sleep. And then, can I laugh myself to sleep? Please, God, may I chuckle my spirit. And that's fine. I find that to be funny too, because I'm having that experience too. I think that is a new part of my awakening, where I laugh when the challenges show up. It feels really interesting to laugh and to smile while looking at this thing. As I'm smiling now, it feels just like that. Well, that's the energy that is coming up for me when I think about this conversation out of the card, spiritual awakening and interconnectedness. And before we go far, I know we want to give Nate. I don't know if he's ready. You'll let me know.
I'm here.
Yeah, you ready?
Whenever, go ahead, finish what you were saying.
Okay, I was gonna say I thought it was interesting, and I noticed that we all have on some type of green today. I didn't notice it, when we got on, I kind of popped it in, but I was like, okay, whatever's going on with this heart energy, but it doesn't all. It feels there's some heart energy, but it also, I feel a little Ogun energy, a little warrior water energy too. But that could be me. That could be me, but I just wanted to remark on it. I think that's some interconnectedness because we didn't plan for it, y'all. We didn't plan for it.
I'm gonna throw money in there too. You know what I'm saying? Because
it all rained down.
That is a very weird occurrence because I didn't realize it until maybe a second before you said anything, because I have green on myself today. So those types of moments are eerie to me because I was thinking it, but I didn't say it out loud.
I
Can
love
you hear
that.
me?
I love the synchronicities, and I think that's a part of the spiritual awakenings too. When you kind of walk it out and it starts showing up, you're like, "What is this?" And at first, you can deny. Like, I used to ask God to tell me stuff to me like I was 2. But I remembered that 2-year-olds only get to do 2-year-old things, and 2-year-olds don't like to stay 2 because after a while they want to do big people things, like they want to do bigger things. So it has moved me into, all right, God, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it how you give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
With the synchronicities and the little things that happen.
I have a quick question. Are all of the comments synced up? Because I see that Nate is saying Facebook. I'm saying YouTube, and there's a young lady there, Kathy. I wanted to say hello and welcome her. She's from Facebook. So when we comment and reply, will she be able to see that, or
Yes,
she can't?
yes,
Okay, okay, good. All right.
yes. So if you're on Facebook, you'll be able to see it, and they'll still be able to see it if they're on YouTube as well.
Let me
Yes.
take myself off mute. Hey, Coffee.
Are we still? Can y'all still hear me? I'm pulling up now. Hello.
Yes, we
Yes,
hear
we can
you.
hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so they can hear you. I mean, they can see your comments if you're typing as well, whether they're on Facebook or YouTube, because it all syncs in. Yes,
All
I
right. Nate, did you want to share right now? You need a little time.
yeah, I'm trying to hurry up and get in the house so y'all don't hear so much background.
No worries. So I don't know if people may have noticed, but we have fully embodied this processes of coming together for these conversations have led us into being who we are, which is, the waters that talk. We're these flowing currents and streams. And we come in to have these conversations. Um, the podcast will continue to tell us about itself through us, as us, and with your help. But when we came in, we didn't know what all of who was going to show up, and the who meaning what would happen when we all came together. What's going to happen? And so I think that the podcast has awakened into itself. Water talks, and I love the way um, Rev said, I mentioned, I was like, like water cooler talks. And he was like, yeah, I'm just thinking about like streams of water, like the oceans having conversations with each other, waterfalls it's always funny. Maybe little raindrops having conversations as they come down. Um, but I would love to hear and give everyone who's present right now maybe a chance to talk about the experience of being in conversation in this awakening with this being here together and water talks, whatever comes up for you.
All right, I could put 5 on that. One of my favorite places to be is the water. I love to be by the ocean. And there are some sisters that I end up going with. Sometimes, of course, I'll go by myself. Other times I'll go with my sisters. And it is so many different things. It's like everything and nothing at the same time. But it is, to me, when I go to the water, I look at it as like I'm speaking into the collective consciousness. I'm speaking to the gods and goddesses who control collective consciousness. And I believe that is kind of where time happens. And so, and as a matter of fact, I have a story about that I'd like to share. My son is in Japan, and so that means he's like 14 or 15 hours ahead of me, right? So one of the things I do is I go to the water and I pray for my children. Like that's part of it for me. Well, one day I wasn't planning on going, right? I had my life going, but I could hear him calling me. So I was like, okay, great. I'm going to go to the one that's close, like 40 minutes. They was like, no, go to this one that's like 3 hours away. And I was like, okay, well, no problem. So I go there, I do the thing I do for the children. And then that evening he messaged me and he was like, Ma, I think I understand, because he has a taboo where he's not supposed to be in natural bodies of water. And being a young man, of course, he's like, yeah, whatever. But anyway, he was in the water and he said he got caught in a riptide. And he's like, I don't know what happened because it did not feel like I was going to make it. But suddenly, he was like, suddenly it was released. And I was like, that's interesting, because I'm like a day behind you, but that it's like the same time for him and the same time for me. I was at the water, if that makes any sense. And so, I'm doing my thing there for him and the family, but the children in general, but for him, obviously. And he was like, I really have respect for water now and natural bodies of water. So to me, that's when I began to really understand that what I believed was real. Like, yes, this is a place of time. We are here at the same time. We're on this spiral of time. So I think when we come together, I'm always like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I'm so excited to see. And in fact, one of the things that I like witnessed us doing was saying like, whoa, we didn't know this was going to be this big, or we didn't know this was going to reach so many people, or I've already started seeing that happen for us. So I believe the water talks aspect is so perfect because of those two things, that dynamic of time and that dynamic of like, what happens when the water comes together and congeals here? What happens when all the rain falls on the ground? What happens when the waves come in? How are we moving? So
I love what you shared, especially the personal relationship with water. You know, I've always had a very personal relationship, I would say, with like elements of all elements. Like I love, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, they're always communing with me. But specific to water, you know, I can tell when I've been away for too long. Um, and I'll remember when I started doing rituals at the water. And surprisingly, like, how you're guided, let's go do this thing. It's like, okay, it's time to get up and go do this. And I remember standing there with this group of women, and we're all sending this energy out into the water. Like we were saying in our prayers, and all of a sudden, like, why does it feel like massive waves? This is a river. Why are there big old waves splashing us? And I'm like, then I opened my eyes, like, did I didn't hear a boat? Did something go by? And I'm like, are we making these waves? Are these waves coming to greet us? And so we have that experience, and everyone talks about it. We are like, okay, and then we shift and we do something else. And then we come back into creating a circle. Now we're in the circle, and we're putting it into this cauldron in between. And before we know it, there are two little fish just swimming in the circle, not swimming out. They did not leave the vortex of the water that we were conjuring together. And then when we were finished, they all left out. And everybody was seeing different things that were catching them, like the rainbow or the this or the that, all these signs that were showing up. I think something powerful can always happen with the water. I think that the water also too, as I've continued to work with the water, there's like water is what gives us life. Water's life-giving. It's what makes the earth the earth. It's the water world. It's a water planet. We give thanks for the water and the light that started this whole thing going. I'm like, thank you, water and crystals for forming. And now we have these dope oceans and waterfalls and lakes and ponds, and it's just beautiful. And so it's this, for me, when I think about the water talks, I have no clue still what it's going to be. You know, I'm just in such a space of gratitude to watch it flowing. I'm like, okay, I got my boat on this current, and we're just all riding together, and it's kind of, I love it. I'm like, I get to ride on a boat with my friends, and they're, sometimes we're in the boat together, sometimes we're riding individually. But that's kind of how I'm feeling right now around it. I don't know. I come with humility to the mystery. of its continued revelation, and its continued revealing. But I'm excited to see. I think I realized that's a part of my spiritual nature. Is I say I want to know, but I also like to be surprised. So, I'm open to the continued surprises. I like good surprises, but I like surprises. So that's what's coming up for me. Nate, if you're talking, you're on mute. There you
I
go.
keep forgetting. I'm keep forgetting. But does it feel like a itch? Like, cause you I'm saying it, but you bring it up every time. Is it like itching you to know beyond the journey or like the destination? Like, what does it feel like? That unknown.
Oh, it feels very familiar. The unknown
Mhm.
feels very familiar. I feel like I'm always in the unknown. I don't know. It's become like a regular word. I like to say, I don't know. I don't know. And there are things where I do know, and I have then it'll be like it'll challenge me on that where I do know. But I'm saying that to say, in question in relation to the question of allowing ourselves to be, I will say there is always a little like when you're taking steps onto new territory, you're putting your feet down like with gingerly. You're stepping gingerly, right? And so
Mhm.
I feel like I'm stepping easy. I'm not frolicking and running into the waves. I'm just walking it out and into it, which therefore, because it's a mutual kind of space, there's
Mhm.
always like, how is this for you? How is this for you? This is what's coming for me. But the
Okay.
unknown, I don't have to make peace with the unknown. I feel like I'm constantly making peace with the unknown. Sometimes I'm like, well, how dark is the dark? And they like, do you really want to know? And I'm like, actually, I'm good. You'll show me if I'm ready. Um, yeah, does that help?
It does help. I feel sometimes often the same. Like the unknown for me is more comfortable as an artist. I feel more comfortable not knowing because the reality is so much harsher than the unknown, especially the time that we're living in right now. We have an election in less than 20 some days, and the unknown is like, I can deal with that. But the reality of who we have up against us is more frightening or scary sometimes. But I'm gonna try to answer that first question that you gave all of us shortly. I am feeling very rebellious. I'm not steady in my footsteps and steady, but I am stepping hard. Um, I am carving out boundaries. And you and I spoke about that help versus support. I am making that clear to all of the relationships that I have and I no longer will have. In terms of cutting things off that are weighing me down. So that feeling, that energy of, um, I was looking at the chart full of virtues, and that assertiveness is number one on that list. And I always took assertiveness as pushy and a negative connotation to it. I was just joking with a friend, it should say pushy in brackets next to it because that's how I used to see assertiveness. And now I'm seeing it in a way that I am forging a path that I have to travel. Um, and that means getting rid of individuals, places, things that no longer serve me, never serve me, and that actually have been holding me back. And a lot of that is my choices to be so giving to individuals who choose not to pour back in or to plant a seed in me or whatever that may look like to them. And it feels this feeling used to feel bad to me because I never wanted to push anyone away or be stern with anyone. And I'm finding myself being stern. And those individuals who are familiar with me have a big issue with that, and specifically the ones who have been taking advantage of the kindness and the gratitude and the graciousness. And it's interesting to watch them watch me because they'll say, "Well, when did this person show up?" And I've always existed in this space. I just made choices, and I gave grace a lot to not let this show up. And that bear image that you had me look up the last time has been showing up in my life a lot. I've seen bears everywhere I went, and it's making me like bring out that ferocious side of me, because sometimes you have to go overboard to get people to understand an inkling of a thought. And I'm there, and I have time for it, and I'm willing to show you repeatedly that is not a game. Um, and I feel so calm. But like you said, I feel calm in it. It's not. I feel erratic or all over the place. It feels like my footsteps are heavy, but it's with a purpose. And I have to be this in this moment in order to show those individuals it's not a game. It's not. This is real life we're dealing with. And the older I get, the more purposeful I get with my choices, and they're very deliberate. And this would have rattled me a few years ago. Like, "Oh, I got to go back to this person and explain to them where I'm at. I don't feel that need anymore." So that's the energy that I'm coming into this with today.
I am here for it. I am here for it. I said to someone earlier, so when I talked about the initiation dream, is to see um, the energy was about boundaries. It's a warrior energy, and sucker, when you can go so far and so when you can't go there. And I said to someone today, I said, there's a whole point where you have to know where the line is. Where do you draw the line where you draw the line. Um, and so when you know the line where you draw the line, it becomes you know where to bow and you know where to stand. And
Mhm.
if it's time to stand, it's like you don't even try. Your body stands you up because your body said, I will not lay
Mhm.
down. And the same thing I think for the bow. Like you try to stand up and you find yourself tripping to get your body will trip to get you down to maneuver
Mhm.
in that door.
Yep.
And so that's it's like a it's like a to me, our bodies want the best for us sometimes. Or oftentimes, unless we got some other things going on. But all of that to say, I
Some
understand
foreign
that
agents.
relationship. Yes. I understand that relationship with stepping hard because
Mhm.
I just know I've been right now I'm the unknown until I know the path that I'm walking on because that's a known situation. We're like I'm gonna put this down. We're gonna have a new situation. Um, the unknown for me is similar to walking in the dark. And if I'm walking in the dark in a room that I don't know, I have a respect for the place that I don't know. So let me put this. I smell the air. It feels good. It feels open here, or it feels closed here. I'm using all of my senses. Um, so that's a different that's a particular kind of energy there. But yes, when you might want to. What they say, you better ask somebody.
They better.
So I want to ask you, Rev. We talked about if you want to share. Um, we talked about we understand who we are now. We at least know who the space we are occupying. It has affirmed itself to be. This is our water talks. Um, would you like to share about anything that's coming up for you with us being here? I couldn't hear a thing you said.
You're still muted.
Well, he's not muted. I think maybe your sound went out. You may have to log back in.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's time to get a new headphone situation. So anyway, what's coming up for me around Water Talks? And the name, um, nothing. But water is my element. Water is the element in which I play in. It's yeah, I'm drawn to water. Uh, Scorpio, deep water being. Um, with connections to Poseidon and Neptune and Olympus and um, my experiences with the grandmother spirit or the great mother spirit is always in the waters, in the deep waters. Um, um, I'm remembering that several years ago I was guided to gather uh, a group of women and to take them to the waters, to take them to the ocean. Like me, no, that's not what I do. And I was like, well, who would go? I don't, whatever. And so we had a ceremony where maybe 12, 16 of us was guided to go to Rehoboth Beach. And so we carpooled over to Rehoboth Beach one Saturday morning, um, probably before the summertime. And we got to the beach and we got down to the waters, and I was guided to create a circle. There's me and the women. We create a circle. We give offerings. We did prayers. Um, because each one was from a different tradition. Well, there were several different traditions present, and I wasn't guided to any tradition, any particular tradition. I saw it as my role was to be the guide, to be the to guide them, to begin the to facilitate the circle with the women. And I noticed that we had the age range of the women was um, 19 to the 70s. So we had a the whole spectrum of divine feminine energies present. And the way we guided, the way I was led to guide the circle was we came together. I was drumming, we were doing some chanting, prayers, and then it was my role to step out of the circle and to and just hold space, to hold space. And I thought it was a way of representing the releasing of the male energy in control of things, and creating that space for the feminine energy to come in and stand up and not so much take charge, but to be present in the world. I thought it was a rites of passage of passing on the talking stick or passing on the leader stick. That's what I thought it was. Um, and so as they were gathering and doing their thing, and I walked to the ocean, and I said, I did what you asked me to do. I brought the women to the ocean, and I am complete. And the ocean said, no, you're not. You have more work to do. And then on that day, the dolphins showed up. We saw dolphins were there to bless the ceremony. um, so I have a connection with water. It's ongoing. The development is ongoing. The integration is ongoing. The understanding is ongoing. And one of my names that I've been given is Grandfather Ocean, and so I can't get away from it anyway. It's here to stay. Um, yeah, so it's when I first saw Water Talks, I was like, cool with me. If you had said Earth Talks, I would have. Now, if you had said Air Talks, that's when I would have been rebellious and like, nah, me and air don't get along at all. But water talks feels right at home. No pun intended.
What's your Ash? What is your sun sign?
Scorpio.
That's water. Okay. What's yours, Nate?
I am a Gemini.
I'm glad we're meeting under these terms. I'm just kidding.
Heard it several
I'm
times
kidding.
before.
Oh my goodness. Geminis are real dynamic and they have, lots of things going on over here, lots of things going on over here. Sometimes it feels like, what is going on? And they're like, both of these things, at a minimum. So I just, but yeah, I just also, what made me think of that? Because I'm Leo, Sun, and then rising Aries and Moon Aries. And I have a lot of other fire signs. And so
Is she talking about me?
All that fire. How do you see? I'm a Scorpio sun. I'm a Leo moon and a Leo rising.
Oh, see? Look at that. Okay. You got two fire, at least. You got at least two.
Yeah.
But for me, I would like always want to burn. But where I found reality was in the water. So, I just decided, I was like, I'm going to decide what all this fire is for. And I primarily use it. Hey, Claudia, she said Gemini in the house. What I decided for me with the fire is that I will use it to burn and clear what needs to be cleared in my life. Now, however that ends up in somebody else's, I can't tell you. But what I know is my focus is on making sure I'm doing that self-inventory. And if I wanted to, transform, if I wanted to essentially disappear, that's when I activate the fire. Because, when I was younger, I feel like I was sort of flailing, and I'd be like, why is everything always so hot? Yeah. I mean, that's just my natural go-to. So I had to learn, and it's funny because like with the water, going to the water and then burning something it's like an arrow. It feels like it's an arrow where it makes it more defined and clear. The direction can be managed almost to literally what I say. But if I'm just burning stuff without water, I'm just like, it's like, what's going on? Why is all this stuff going on around me? So, the water talk thing is great for me in that sense, because I feel like it's like an arrow with all of us here with the fire. And my sister's a Leo too, Leo Nation.
I'm a Leo too, but I cannot. I have embraced my Gemini rising. I am so good with that Gemini rising because it helps me to understand why my mind moves how fast it does. Like
You a
that
genius.
the Mercury energy, it's very like it's going
Yeah.
and it can be a lot. I'm like, I was like, the thoughts all try to come out at one time at times if I'm not careful. I have to literally take a breath of air.
Yes.
Slow down.
I love that.
Yeah.
But it's a good practice though, because it does force you to be deliberate. That's where, when I say deliberate, that's what I mean. Because sometimes I can, in front of a classroom, I know, and I teach babies, so I know I can be a lot. So it forces me to slow down and literally get on their level, so I'm not far beyond them, and they not just looking at, oh, I think Mr. Nate is having an episode, but but it forces me to kind of take my time and be deliberate with what I say, what I do, all above.
I love that. I know the other one. Now, the other thing that I don't think anyone talked about, I do have a Taurus moon. Yeah, there it is, Taurus
You
moon.
saw her, yeah. You the same time y'all said it.
Yeah, so
Taurus
I have a
moon,
Taurus
yeah.
moon, and that
Is
that
that the rising, or is that what is that?
so your rising or your ascendant, it kind of sets the houses that go around. We have these 12, the 12
Okay.
signs, no 13. We don't want to leave Ophiuchus out, but 12 is what we know. And that it goes in a circle. So you start at your rising or your ascendant, and
Right.
everyone kind of goes around the wheel, and their houses land in one of those places. Um,
I've always been told. I think my rising is in Cancer, and the other one, what is it called, is in Taurus.
Your
your
moon.
moon,
Yes.
that okay, we both that's so we got a lot, we got a couple of things together. Um, the Taurus moon, it kind of like um I'm able to, I think, ground my emotions I can ground them. But I also found though that I have to be careful because I can lock my emotions in my body. They
Mm.
tucked away. And it was like, I ain't cried about that. Like I realized that I hadn't cried about something in a very long time. And I had
Ooh.
to go open it up, like let the waters flow. And so, let me remember to feel. That's the
Yeah.
not making yourself numb because you're just trying to keep going. Um, so that's one thing I found with my Taurus moon to be a thing. I love it. The moon is Taurus, the bull. I love it. Give me all of that. It's so cool. Um, and I know we're getting into astrology and stuff, so I'll just say for anybody who's listening, these are all ways to kind of give you a lens or to see yourself. You
Yeah.
can kind of see yourself through the sun and how you do things. You can see things through your ascendant, and it talks about your personality traits or quirks. You can see through your emotions and how you deal with your emotions. So if you have someone who is let me see, like a Virgo moon, that's a real different kind of emotional energy than someone who might be a Scorpio moon. There are two different worlds. Virgo moon, Scorpio moon. You're not
Mhm.
gonna get what you're looking for from if you're looking for
Yeah.
certain types of emotions. It's gonna look different. So there's a lot of stuff out there to talk about signs, but we just talking about it now. So I was just wanted to toss that out there for anybody who's listening in.
I think that is helpful to me. It's confirmation to me also because uh, woo, that feeling part, I have to sometimes say, okay, you can cry, insert a tear, or insert anger, or because I've learned because of that dual personality gimmick that they say we have. Uh, Sometimes you fall directly in the middle of that, so your emotions are sometimes too balanced, and you have to. It's like your blood pressure going below versus going high, and sometimes we have to remember to be in the moment. It's to feel and to be able to feel. So that's definitely confirmation. Feel sometimes.
Shoot, you better feel your way through sometimes. Like, when
Uh-huh.
I don't know, I can at least check in on how am I feeling. Like maybe I'm feeling a little tired right now. I'm feeling a little hungry. I'm feeling thirsty.
Right.
Like because
Yeah.
our system, this situation, this place, currently, it will have you running raggedy if you're not
Yeah, that's
if
going.
you don't check it, it will keep on going unchecked.
Yes. Yes.
I appreciate you saying that because I realized recently too, going back to the awakening part, I was like, I'm not, and this is, I don't mean to throw another system in there, but I'm taking a class with a sister named Pele, and she's teaching us about human design. And she, in recently learning that I am a manifesting generator. And so it talks about this idea of being responsive to life. And I said, I just realized that's that one little thing going back to just running around. I'm always like running around. Okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. I was like, let me just practice responding to what satisfies me, or what do I really want to do? Like right this minute, what do I want to do like right now? And I've just been practicing that for the last 3 days. I have been so happy.
That's right.
It's the weirdest thing. And I'm just like, when did I start this scurry and, hither and thither? And not saying, what do I want to do right now? Notwithstanding, we got some other things we got to do in our life, but certainly, what do I literally want to do like right this moment? And let's go do it. Just go do it.
I love the saying, let's go do that, because one of the things that came up when I began to realize that numbness, it doesn't have to be a person, a place, or a thing. It just is. Kind of like almost like a layer of skin that's been over us as humanity. And I feel like, as we're all like awakening, we're becoming more awake. A friend of mine, she wrote a song, and the lyrics are awake, aware, alert, aligned. Awake, aware, alert, aligned. And she talks, it's its whole journey about, you keep starting over. You go back to sleep and then you're awake. Then you're aware. Then you're alert and you're aligned. And that's kind of this dance, I think, that we're coming through as a part of a collective awakening. There's an individual popping up and we're seeing ourselves, but it is also, as we're seeing ourselves, can we feel ourselves? Because we're full of ourselves. So if you're full of yourself and you don't feel yourself, is there something else that you're full of? Or is there something blocking you from feeling what you're full of? And sometimes we judge it by saying, like, I've even said it to my friends. I said to y'all, am I crazy? Am I out of my mind? And I come back into the piece that's like, I hear in my head right now, my girl Erica saying, out my mind just in time. Out my mind just in time. Y'all gonna call me crazy, but I'm gonna be full of myself, my own senses, what's happening and what I'm leading into. And on that note, I think I'm thirsty. I need to drink some water.
I feel that. But what I was going to say as to your first question to all of us, I was born a Black man who was socially and at home taught to shrink and to be smaller than, as not to offend or scare or be overbearing. And that, I feel like in this season, all of those lessons, I love my mother and her lessons, I love my grandmother and her lessons, but those things were to keep me safe in spaces where everyone didn't look like me, or think like me, or think like I was raised. But a lot of those things are coming down, and I'm feeling the need to take up space and to be me, be like you just said. I couldn't find the words, but be full of me. And if that offends you, I'm not sorry. But sometimes you gotta. I'm realizing I have to now take up all the space that I need and not be offended for other people when I do that.
Those teachings, right? Those teachings from a place of love, right?
Mm-hmm.
It came in from a place of love.
Right.
And I don't remember who it was I learned it from, but I've been keeping it. I always try, like, if I can remember where I got it from, I love to share. But it was a message that says, teachings will hold you. They can contain you, until they constrain you. And at a certain point, you begin to break out of the teaching. So either you shrink to stay within the teachings,
Yeah.
or you're being called to go outside and see what's on the other side of that truth.
Right.
And sometimes you're called to transform those teachings.
Mm-hmm.
You're called to
Yeah.
transform. There are people who are born to maintain a lot of the wisdom paths that we have on the planet, and then there are those who come here to challenge those wisdom paths, and then there are those who come here to forge new wisdom paths. New wisdom paths.
I
Mm.
And our journeys will kind of give us clues as to which one we're on, or maybe we some people are starting one and they grow to the next one and they grow to the next one. You know, you look at all of the religions in the world, that most of them began with the life of a particular person. You know, before that person came along, that religion was not there. And so, many people think that, well, we have the religions we have. Yeah, but humanity is still exploring and expanding, and newness is still part of our journey, the evolution. And some of that's going to forge new religions or new ways of being. And then those who read up on them, then they become religious if that's their journey. Um, so some of us are here to say thank you to the path that we were on, and it's time to step anew.
yeah.
Mm.
Nate, were you about to say something?
Nah, this is just
Okay.
messing with my mind right now because you think you every so you get to say 30 or you get to 40 or 50 and you think you okay, I got this. And then 41 happened, 51 happened. You're like, okay, I don't have this. So keep on paying attention. Again, I'm like I feel like a lifelong student in this moment. Like just learning things that I thought, and it's crazy. We'll talk about something and it'll manifest itself in how I've been dealing with life. So maybe we do have to do this every month because this every 2 week thing is hitting life is hitting.
You get to a point and you start to realize, 20s and then 30s and 40 and then 50, and then
Mm-hmm.
you go uh 61 and 62, and then you go, Monday I thought I had it, then come
No.
Tuesday I thought I had it, then come Wednesday I thought I
Mm.
had it, and it's like, okay, Thursday, show me what we're gonna do today, because I ain't
Right.
got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's lessons learned. I've been doing this thing over the course of Facebook, really, where I just write something and I try not to be so personal with it, but some of the lessons be so on point that I want to share it with other people. So I find a way to say it without naming names or situations that taught me that lesson, as to not, start a beef on Facebook or something. But these lessons are like coming, and it's stuff that I had seen before or I've heard mention of. But then when you'll get in a conversation, like Alma does a thing where she'll call, to check up or follow up on a conversation, and you'll get into this conversation about a theme or a word or a feeling, and it's definitely becoming that way where I'll just get this inspirational thought, and you're like, oh, okay, that's how I should have handled that. Okay, lesson learned. Please don't test me too soon because I'm just getting it. But okay, I got you.
I wanted to put 5 on that conversation, not to, as you said, Nate. I don't want to make you talk about every quarter after what I say right now.
This is a yearly podcast. We get together once a year to talk.
But when Rev was talking about the traditions, my experience with traditions is I have moved from place to place like you guys, and one day I realized Spirit was like, you wrote a lot of these traditions, and it's not that you're here to change them, but it's like it's here at least for me to understand that the tools that are available in these traditions is what we're sort of gravitating towards. We have
Mm.
the custodians of the traditions, very valuable information and technology. I mean, every system I interface with, my mind is blown that, whoa, this works. This one works too. This one works too. And it's like whatever people decide they wanted to use at that time to craft, they're all using the same fundamental energy, and then they're manifesting this system that works to bring people together. So now it feels like, because we have access to so many different traditions, I feel like the universe is trying to tell us, or source, or even ourselves is trying to tell us about flow, right? Like, back to the water talks. I believe that we have access to a lot of technology, but we don't always know the system, right? And that's usually what would happen to me. I would start doing something, and then I'll get access to something, and I'll be like, oh my God, I was doing that. I didn't know what it was called. And I believe that there a lot of this is my, this could be the Leo in me, but I believe that many of us were the initiators of a lot of these traditions that we have access to now. And I believe that one of the things that we all came to do is, one, to expand the technology into other areas, and and then also reform some things. I've said to people, many people, when I look at my mother and them at church, and I would always be like, what are they doing? There's some kind of magic I'm seeing. I just don't know what it is, and when I go out in the world, I'll be like, the church mamas knew. They didn't call it astrology or, human design or whatever. They didn't call it anything. They just were being. They were being who they were. And I really am excited at the prospect of, like, if I want to spread anything, I want to spread this energy of just being, and then being able to, and then feeling comfortable enough with yourself to do whatever it is you're doing. You don't have to go find someone. I mean, you can do that if that's what you love to do, because some people enjoy extensively to be guided by someone else, but truly, I think that that's a different kind of freedom to me. And I think that individual freedom, as it touches other people, what else can individual freedom birth but, the freedom for the collective consciousness. So I really appreciate the discussion that was had, Rev, when you were talking about the different traditions and the values of them. I just wanted to add that.
I remember, my family on both sides of my family were Baptists, and so each one had a church, and I would go to those churches. I would go into the church, but I was never part of the church. Don't ask me anything about a sermon anybody preached, because I never listened to any sermon. And so, and as I got older, I was like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. And part of me is like, well, you never really dealt with it; you were just there. But years later, I went back to my aunt's church, because my dad was being honored as Father of the Year, and I had issues with that. I was like, well, he ran out on us. What kind of Father of the Year y'all giving him? This must be a whole different man. But I put that aside and went to the service, and my grandmother was there. His mother was there, and this particular church, part of their service was people would come up to the pulpit, and the reverend would, I guess he was praying over them or something. And my grandmother wanted to go, and so I was I volunteered to take her up there. And so I'm standing there. It's like, okay, I'm watching these people and they're getting excited and they feeling whatever they're feeling. And he's doing his doing. I'm looking at him going, uh-huh, uh-huh. But I had the revelation. It's like, this is feeding them. And that's a good thing for them. He's not feeding me. And that's a good thing for me. And I can be here and not feel like I'm being pulled into it or obligated to feel what they're feeling. And it was like at that moment, I was like, okay, this worked for my grandmother. This worked for my aunt. This works for them, and that is good. Something else works for me, and we're still trying to figure that out because I'm, who am, whatever. But at that moment, it's like, okay, I get to see how this can support some people where they are on their journey, and none of us are, all of us are not on the same journey, or the same tradition, or the same steps, or the same steps in that journey. And people go where they're being fed. The key to it is that when it stops feeding you, it's time to seek out something else or be guided to something else. But that was a revelation for me. It's like, oh, okay. So I can go to a Baptist church and sit and be there, listen to his sermon. I have to be quiet not to critique it out loud about his misunderstanding of scripture. But it's like, this is okay. So these systems and these traditions, they have a purpose. And for somebody who may not have any sense of, connection with spirit, maybe that church helps them begin that journey of reconnecting to spirit or reconnecting to themselves. It's okay. It's okay. I don't have a judgment about that. The the leaders who take advantage of people, that's a whole different story. And that has nothing to do with the religion. That just has to do with somebody using it for personal gain.
Right.
So just wanted to share that.
It is. Sorry, my allergies are crazy right now, but I I had a lot of those same thoughts and shared a lot of the same thoughts as you had. Um, in my faith walk, sitting in an AME church, and I didn't understand the process. Like, if a pastor isn't doing well, I'm going to remove them and put them over here and bring you someone new and insert them into your walk. And you can't follow that pastor over there. You got to stay here. And I
Yeah.
started questioning things in that, but I now look at it, and I was led to learning styles, and how we learn, how we receive information at its core. And that's when I started realizing the similarities in faith and spirituality. And we all sit in, like, for me, I am a person that this virtual thing, I can't learn that way. You can plant a seed in me, but I have to take what we did here and then apply it to life, or let it be applied to life. And then I get it. Here, I'm just receiving information, just like in a virtual classroom. I'm not getting that. I have to be in that space, learning that lesson with a living, breathing person in front of me and around me. But I think we receive information differently. And I learned that because I'm not the person, I'm the observer in church. So I must see you all start popcorning up and getting the spirit, and I'm sitting there watching it. And that feeds me, because it reassures me that this spiritual thing is real, and in some weird way it's real. So in me not being there, and I know people looking at me like, one day you go get it, and they'll say to me, one day I'm waiting for you to just run around the church. And I'm like, well, that ain't gonna never happen, because that ain't me, that ain't my energy. But I'd love to watch you do it, because it just reassures me that this faith thing is real, and it has real application, and people receive it differently. I like a teacher pastor. I don't want somebody yelling and screaming damnation to me. Teach me, in a lesson form, like, teach me, and I'll get it. But Yeah, I've had those same questions and observations in life, and I just realized we all just receive and give information differently, and how you fit in any one situation is really, like you said, up to you, and you know what it is for you.
I'll say this one thing in reply to something you said about the people popping up. I
Mhm.
love that. I love that image. But and you said and they tell you, you know, one day you're gonna get it. You said not, because that's not my energy. Um,
Mhm.
it wasn't mine either
Right.
until
Mhm. Mm. Did it happen in that space or outside of that space?
oh, and for me in church, I was the observer too. I just watched.
Mhm. It was
I wasn't.
theater to me.
But yeah, the singing was what fed me, the choir.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
once the choir got quiet, I went down and started doodling. I used to take my doodles to church. So, um,
Mhm. Yes.
but I was tickled because that ain't me, you know,
Yeah.
until it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And it happens, but it's gonna happen to you regardless. It just, that right there ain't my energy, but you still will get it, that same energy, or the reason for that energy in them. You gonna still get it some way. I never thought someone could slay me in the spirit. I was like, Miss, you are pushing me. Stop pushing me. Stop pushing my forehead. Stop pushing my forehead. Until one day I felt as light as a feather and I was on the ground. And I don't know how I got there. But like you said, it happens. But it's in your own understanding of it, in your own time.
I'm appreciating y'all sharing the way that this walks, and the thing that was caught me that I wanted to talk about, or that I wanted to speak to, was the idea of the people who are fixed.
Mm.
They never change during this time. And I'm not so much as no judgment about it, but in the perfected process, in the process that perfects itself, I've
Mhm.
come to find that, people who I thought would forever stay in a certain way, life kept on living, and all of a sudden they were telling me stuff that I told them, however many years back. Like, didn't weren't y'all calling me crazy? Was something wrong with me? And all that stuff. And I realized, like, I had a story. I had become fixed. There was a moment that had been crystallized, like a snapshot in our interaction, that left me believing that people couldn't change, or that it would forever be that way. And they proved me wrong, and I've had people prove me wrong multiple times, where and now I kind of walk it out, where I don't just assume that they all the way in, and that they all the way out in the deep end of the pool. Like, I don't, are you all, are you a deep diver? I don't know. They'd have to show me they're a deep diver. But I am aware that you have unmoored your boat from the dock. you
Yeah.
like, and so when I realized that,
You
you
are
know,
drifting.
I no longer, I believe that we are all born for this time, this very interesting time. The people on the planet right now are interesting crew. And yes, I said to someone, I was like, yes, there's some people who might not wake up until they go back, till they make their eternal sleep and then wake up again in a new life. There might be some people who that is their journey. I don't know. But I am always game for I'm always game for the change, and how we are often unaware that we're all changing. Like, even as I'm changing, and the interconnectedness, that's my word again, the interconnectedness will tend to show up where I will see people who were I began to see their shifting and their movements. And it also showed me, is it them that shifted and moved? Is it me that shifted and moved? What this happened here? But that constant kind of interacting with the flow, with the current, with the air current. I'm throwing that out there because Baba said, if you thought about air, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna be in the air. That's what we would do. You know, the winds blow, and we kind of it's another current. It's another current, and I hear in my head, you know, they got all. I don't know who sang the song. Everything must change. I'm being extra, but you know
Nothing stays the
that
same.
whole idea of nothing stays the same. And it's weird because inside of me, I still remember that little girl spinning around. You know, I still remember the girl furiously typing on the computer about this vision that just came to her. And in my 30s, and I sit here and thinking about, being on stage and be like, I was so scared. People like, I couldn't tell, you were amazing. And I remember these parts of myself as snapshots that I can engage with and interact with, but I give freedom to them being with me, even as I continue to change, and I see like shadows of possibility kind of out there of what could be. But in those regard, I try to say I've lived enough to say, look, I know how I want it to feel. I ain't gonna tell you how you got to give it to me. I can, because I believe that sometimes things work out better than I can plan it. And so I'm open for the flow of things coming in that regard for the future. But I'm definitely just thinking about that change and how some energies are fixed. And I might be looking at them as being this way, and it might be me who is that way. I have to come out of that.
You know, I had a situation once where I was calling somebody a hypocrite, and Spirit told me do not call them a hypocrite. And I was like, but they're being hypocritical, like they're eating an apple and slapping my apple on my hand. Like, you shouldn't be eating an apple. That's hypocritical to me. Spirit said that do not call them anything. And this is going back to when our mothers would say, or our elders would say, don't call nobody a liar. I used to be like, that's ridiculous because they lying. So what does a liar do but lie, right? Like, what does a hypocrite do but be hypocritical? But the lesson Spirit gave me in that moment, they was like, if you say definitively they are fill in the blank, then you will never see them as anything else. You will never see them when they're not being hypocritical, because no one person is anything all the time, and they're like, so if they're being genuine in this other moment, you're going to still label them as a hypocrite. So you can say, I don't like the way they're behaving right now. You can say their behavior is, I can speak to their behavior, but the direction was to not speak to who they were, period. And that's really been amazing because, and when you were saying, did I change? Did they change? Both of y'all changed in that moment, where the glasses I have on is to be, as Baba Kamal always talks about, being a witness, to be the witness of what's going on, and then calling it a thing, or calling the behavior what it is, but leaving room for you to see the person who they are in that moment. So that's one of the lessons I have learned, and it is really helpful, because it does feel like magic a little bit, like, oh, I just changed my perspective. Oh, I can see it different now. That's magic.
I love that. It made me think about the energy of presence. And what happens when you stay awake, aware, alert, and aligned. There's this energy of, I will see what I see. That's when you can see the eagle flying by. That's when you can see the ant that just came in. That's when you can witness the butterfly or the dandelion fluff. In the moment of presence, you can be the witness. And that really is it is an opportunity to, the witness can really be a holy role. Not always, but always. you know. Um,
Say that again. You said what? The witness can be a what?
can be a holy role. The witness can be a holy role. And when I say, not always, we might think of it as like, oh, this mundane thing that I just saw. But it's always holy, even that mundane thing that you witnessed was eyes, God seeing it, God as you. So I really appreciate you talking about that, the part of the witness to see and to not, to not submit somebody as a thing. It's such a, mm, that is a, whew.
And it boomerangs. Like you then give your own self some grace, right? Like, man, I did da, 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 or man, I was da, 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 da. Okay.
But
But anyway,
but I think it happens even like spiritual people or people with the best intentions still create havoc. Because one of my biggest lessons was words have innate qualities. They have to seek out the mission of the tongue. And we create things into being just by simply saying it. And it it I'm starting to feel it like you on the phone with friends that you normally vent to and go back and forth, and you look at somebody so differently when you realize they are creating havoc just by speaking it right now. And I didn't know my words were that powerful until the playwright who wrote Blueprints, she said that to me one day in rehearsal. And she's so specific about her word choices. And that has forced me to be very specific about what I say and what I put on other people. Like, I can't call you a liar. I don't know your story. I don't know what got you to this place to feel like you have to protect yourself by not telling the truth. It could be just that simple. And that it crushed me because I think I was probably like 29 when she said that to me. And I had lived my whole life calling people a thing. It's like, ooh,
So you changed?
I changed. I'm very specific about that now. Like, even if I'm angry at somebody, it takes a lot for me to give grace, but it doesn't take much at all, actually. Like, I just give you grace now because I understand I don't know your story. I don't know what got you to this point of being an asshole, but I can't, it's not my place to call you one. I don't even think I'm learned to not even think it anymore. It just
Yeah.
is. It just
And
is.
and even when we find ourselves doing that, because we're still human, we offer ourselves grace and an opportunity to make a change
Yes.
ourselves.
Hmm.
Because folks out here, they're gonna push a button, and some of them seem to be their only purpose on earth is to push that one button of yours, the one that's the most tender, and they came into the planet to push that button. Yeah, I
That's your
exaggerate, but
test. Because
uh,
often you've asked for, I don't know where I was hearing this at, but you asked for peace. And guess what? Your test is going to show you peace. I'm gonna bring this person into your life to prove or disprove peace in your life that you
mhm.
asked for,
it's
and that's
all
what they're there for.
it's already in you. So this is the opportunity I'm going to present to you, such that you can know it's in you, that you don't have to ask me for it. So I'm going to bring hell to your front door, and will you be able to find peace in the hell at your front door?
Then you
And
say
if
you want peace. You said you wanted peace. So let's see how you deal with this
and so people say,
unpeacefulness.
and some people say, you don't ask for anything. I know I ain't asking for nothing, because
Mhm.
The,
Yes,
the
yes.
last thing I'll say about the change, as we were talking about it, I was guided to Octavia Butler and her book, where she said, God has changed.
Mm.
That one
Mm.
statement. And that was her reality. That was her reality, the character in the story. All she saw was change. Going, and she said, God has changed.
That's a good prayer. That's gonna replace my Jesus wept.
I love this group.
It
God
is. That's my new prayer. Oh, God has changed.
has changed. And
Mm.
all four of us are on together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ooh, this is my test. This is really my test. You have to be careful what you ask for, because you gonna get just that. You gonna get just that. This shout out to all the people who have been commenting. I wanted to go back to the Claudia, Miss Claudia. She said she is 71 and
Mm-hmm.
still learning.
Mm-hmm.
71 learning that I will keep learning until I die. Also, it's okay not to know. Ooh, that's a stubborn lesson. That is a thought of shade. Woo.
Ashe.
This is
Mm-mm-mm.
good, y'all. I done laughed. I done laughed. I done learned. You know that when Nate said words have to seek permission of the tongue, I didn't know what to do with myself.
Okay.
I was in my 20s when she said that to me. And I was so arrogant in my creativity in that moment. And as a director in my 20s, I was, saying things and calling things to be. And she said, words have innate qualities. I don't have a tattoo, and I always said that is going to be my first and probably only tattoo. If I get that, just so I remember, and I'm gonna put it somewhere where I can see it at all times, because it just, like what you just said, I can't call you a liar simply because you lied to me, but me calling you that deems that true and always true for you. And that is crazy how we have that power and we use it so unyieldingly. We just flash it out there.
That's where that humility comes in for me,
Mm-hmm.
because as soon as I start getting all, I know for sure God will show me, but do you?
So you.
And it's and that energy of it, it's like now I have a spirit of laughter, and I'm grateful for the spirit of laughter.
Yes.
I'm okay with feeling all the feelings, but it's like to be in witness of myself when the thing happens and I'm cracking up saying, "Oh, this is amazing. This is wonderful. Look at this." And I'm just like joyfully
Mm-hmm.
engaging with calamity. It's so weird. But like once you done felt all the feelings and the storm has raged on the inside, and in the end, you're like, peace be still. And all you can do at that point is, weather it. That's all I know to do at that point is weather that storm, weather that wind, weather that rain, and it's such it's a humbling thing. Like I said, I found myself bowing at these troubles. I'm like, these things I call troubles. Child, I don't know if that do I know if that was the real trouble? Do I even know if this that I am calling my difficulty was it
Mm-hmm.
the difficulty, or was that the shortcut path to the thing that I said that I really wanted? You know, and I remember when the message came in about you're gonna pay on either end. Someone said you're gonna pay on this side with the hard work
Coming or
that
going.
you want. Are you
Yeah.
gonna choose this stuff that you thought was really easy?
Yes.
And then you're gonna find out that you gotta pay on that side.
Mm.
So I've been on
Mm-hmm.
this journey with I'm just going just for the day. I'm just gonna do what I meant to do. What I gotta show up and do what I said I was gonna do. That again comes back to watching what I say and what I agree with.
Yeah. Yeah. When you talked about laughter, laughter to me is like when they ring that bell. In some traditions they ring a bell. And sometimes I'll be so mad or I'll be so upset or disappointed or whatever. And then somehow the first thing I'll do is laugh, even if it's, how you got that laugh that's when you were younger, you was like, oh, this is a laugh. I'm about to kick you. I'm about to give you what you deserve right now, church. I'm about to give you. But then at some point, it really started to be this thing that turns me back in to myself. And it's like, so you're really like mad because of words that came out of someone's mouth? Or you're really mad that this person, you saw this person's action as blah, 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 blah? Like you're mad? Or you're, you ready to go to war over that? Okay. So then it's like, when I hear it, then I would just have to laugh. It's like, oh, it's a different kind of laugh. It's not the laugh of, it's about to happen. It's the laugh of about, oh, I see myself right now. I see that. I can see that. Okay. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean we don't have to go to war at all. I'm just saying more often than not, especially as I say, this is my world, more often than not, I can control what's happening and I can bring it to what I want it to be.
Let's say real quick, peace, Claudia. Thank you for popping in.
She has to go. Thank you for coming. I know she's here, but she's been really involved.
Yes. And our story is such a beautiful story. I met Claudia playing a singing bowl in a park in Lakeland. Literally, I moved to Lakeland and I said, let's go to the park today. And children come take videos with me today. And I'm sitting there playing my bowls with the children. And this woman comes and says, do you mind if I sit? And I'm like, of course, please. And then from there, is it okay if I sing? I'm like, of course, please. And we've been close. And I didn't even know how spirit works in these interesting ways. When I was getting ready to go down there, I was like, where will I go to find my things? In a random a random Facebook group. And I went back later and realized that she was the person who was in the group who told me where to go get my stuff. So I love the synchronicity, the little ways that it all moves. All right, family. Yes.
Yes.
Now we're all here. I said when Rev left, I was like, come on now.
Oh, all this water. That's the other relationship I have with water. I literally become the flow of water, so I had to let it flow.
Oh, that is hilarious. Okay. Thank you for staying for a little longer, Claudia.
All right, beautiful souls. Well, I am this gathering of the waters has been really, really good. This has been really, really good. It's always good though. It has not been good.
Yeah, I actually got to go back and listen to last week because I could hear you guys. I was like, yo, I mean, not last week, but the other time. I was like, yo, it's so good. But I got to go back because I had to, my reception was terrible. So I was like, I got to come back and hear you guys. That was really beautiful. Yeah.
Can I request that we, because of this, when I saw this GIF of the water flowing, I have been wanting to go to the beach all summer, and I finally got some semblance of it by going to Six Flags, and I sacrificed my phone, i.e. my communication system, to the water.
Okay.
But in that theme, is it anything that you want to toss into the water as we close out? What would you like to toss in the water? Anybody?
I'm trying to pull it up.
So I'll get started because it's coming up. So I heard hopes and dreams, and I said, hope floats. And because hope floats, into the water, there's the energy of dreaming the bigger dream, giving the freedom to dream, and tying it to hope and tossing it into water because I know that hope floats.
Hope floats and dreams rise. Mm.
What comes to me is I want to toss into the water a prayer for uh, the cleansing of the waters, the cleansing of the waters. We've done a very good job of polluting the waters, and they're more polluted than we want to realize because we keep changing what polluted waters, the measurement of polluted waters to make ourselves feel better. How so? With that, I want you to toss, offer, throw, give, take to the waters the prayer of uh, cleaning the waters of the world, be it the external waters as well as the internal waters, our internal waters.
Mm. I'll go. I'll go. I thought about this, and I want to toss fear, fear of change, fear of growth, fear as she kept saying, the unknown. Just walking out on a faith that is planted and steadfast. So throwing that in the water and hoping that whoever needs it, me, gets it.
That's right.
So I know you said like a offering or not offering. You said a
Offering, request,
oh, okay, good.
prayer.
Yeah, so for me what I was seeing is sort of like a filtration experience, and whatever goes in the water, it becomes the absolute best of what we want it to be. And so, for me, I felt the energy of power at the toss, and I was like trying to see what I was throwing, but all I could see was what it became. And so the filtration energy is where I'm at right now with it.
Wow. Intention. That sounded like intentions to me. Mm.
And I love the filter also made me think of I tossed it out, but I don't always see. And I have to allow the water with the like what Baba said with the cleansing to reveal what it will be. That's
Yeah.
the filtering out. That filtration is filtering something out. It's that's what it does. That's what it does. That note, toss a pearl in there too.
Say it again.
On that note, I'm going to toss a pearl in the water too.
I say we all got a mama pearl up in there somewhere, whether we know it or not.
Mm.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Well, closing out.
Yes, I think we're feeling. Are we feeling complete?
Yes.
I know we're not supposed to call people names. However, allow me to make an exception in this moment and to call each of you a beautiful person.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That
Thank
mirror life. That's that mirror life because you are absolutely beautiful as well.
Yes, yes,
you. Sure.
yes. I'm honored to be in circle with you all, especially the guests who've been and joining with us. This has been really rich. It continues to wow me every time.
I worked up an appetite. Thank you.
You and me both.
All right, family. Until the next
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Until.
Love
All
you
right.
all.
All right. See y'all. 25, 10, 25.